Hi everybody, my name is Junaid. I'm looking after the AdMob business development here in EMEA. And today I have some pretty interesting agenda for you because today I'm going to share with you 3 new product launches in Google AdMob plus a new business development kit that we just released for the developer communities. So to start with, first I would like to share with you this wheel again that Thomas shared with you in the morning sessions. And the idea of this field and to share it with you guys, because we have a bunch of different Google products which is available for the developer communities, to give you an idea about what you can use at different stages of your development cycle. You build your game and then you work for growing your audience, and then when you grow your audience, that's the third part, is engaging your players, and then when you engage your players, you're going to think about how to monetize your application or games. That's where we have different products in Google which is available for you guys. Google AdMob, DoubleClick for publishers, and where Google Wallet stands for. So today, the focus will be more on Google AdMob. But as most of you predicted, it's much more than a mobile ad network. And I would like to tell you a little bit about the history, how Google AdMob evolved after we acquired in 2020. So when we first acquired Google AdMob, we realized that there has been a lot to do with the product. We need to develop it further to make it much more profitable for the developer communities and for the gamers. So we let our advertiser base, we let our strong advertiser base to meet with all the AdMob publishers, which is already there, which is already available in the AdMob. And then we built new programs and new features in the product, such as advanced mediation features and such as new ad formats. And we tried to make this product much more quality for all the developer communities. And then when it comes to 2014, we are now much more confident to say that we are in a strong position where we can make this product to work cross-functional for all the developers out there. When I say cross-functional, I mean not only advertising, but also I mean in-app purchase, for example. Today, one of our new launches is going to be about this topic. And I'm going to tell you further how we made Google AdMob a great monetization tool for you guys to boost your in-app purchase revenue, but not only your ad revenue. Also, the second announcement of today is going to be the integration of Google Analytics together with Google AdMob and how it helps you to understand your audience better and to segment your users accordingly and to take necessary actions. When we look at monetization, monetization is a huge topic, is a conundrum actually. And when we look at it, we need to understand what are the different ways that is available in the market today. And as you know, freemium is one of the dominating way to monetize your application together with in-app purchase. But we also have paid download is still standing there, just another option. And also, we have advertising solutions. I'm sure most of mobile ad networks out there are communicating you every day by sending email or calling you to be able to work with you. And when we have a look at these different options, we need to understand what's the trend for the future. We need to understand where the industry is going. So when we have a look at the premium downloads and the freemium downloads in the market today, we have seen a drastic increase in the freemium downloads. And when we forecast the future and the growth of the freemium downloads, it's going to increase much more and more, up to 95% with growth rate. So we can still clearly see that in-app purchase is one of the dominant monetization option for you guys, for the developer communities. And we need to understand how in-app spending is in lieu with our future business model and with our future business plans. So we need to see like which markets are strongest for us to increase, to boost our in-app purchase revenue, whereas which markets we can focus on some other monetization models such as advertising or such as carrier billing, for example. So when we have a look at the major markets today globally, we can see that Germany and UK is dominating in terms of in-app purchase ratio for all the users, whereas US and France is coming a little bit from behind. So when I say today we are going to talk about how we turned AdMob into a monetization solution for you, not only for ads, but also for in-app purchase, we also need to understand how our users are interacting with us and what percentage of our users are doing in-app purchase from our games. So when we have a look at the general ratio of our in-app purchase users, yesterday I was talking to one of the developers here from social games, And my friend was just telling me that only 3.2% of their users are doing in-app purchase within their games. So this is a question that we need to all think about. What's happening to the rest of the 97%? Like, I appreciate all the cool stuff, all the great games that we are building. They're great games. They're just growing the ecosystem just as we would like to do. But at the same time, we need to think about and we need to ask this question ourselves. Are we really taking and grasping all the money on the table which is out there and which is ready for us? So it's not about showing ads to every unique user that you have, but it's about maximizing our yield management and maximizing it in the way that we combine our in-app purchase revenue with the advertising revenue. So let's have a look at what are the current technology in Google AdMob that we allow our developers to use today. So when we have a look at the typical life cycle of a game developer in the ad monetization cycle, we see three different categories. First, a game developer starts to monetize with an ad network. And then secondly, the developer starts to think about mediating in between different ad networks, third-party sales companies. And then the last maturity cycle is when you think about integrating direct sales into your games and integrating your direct sales activities together with third-party sales companies and other ad networks out there. So I will first start to share with you what AdMob is able to provide in the first cycle, and then we are going to continue with the second and the last. So if you ever search for Google AdMob in the internet, in the forums, or even in the social media, you're going to see that fill rate is one of the trending topics for Google AdMob today. It is because we have such a strong advertiser base in the adverse product inventory, and our advertisers, all these premium advertisers are out there, which is more than 1 million mobile bidders today, is out there to bid for your mobile applications, to show their ads within your games or within your applications. So this is why we have such a strong position today in the market where we have up to 99% fill rate in the market. And secondly, if you ever search for Google AdMob again, and the second trending topic that you're going to see, especially after the Flappy Bird example, that people, developers out there are talking about the high ECPMs of Google AdMob. And they look like happy. They are happy. We know they are happy because back in 2 years, when we searched for Google AdMob, like I remember 2 years ago, I was reading a developer forum, and developers were all complaining about how ECPMs were low in Google AdMob. And we got our lesson. We worked on it, and we tried to make our product first much more profitable for developers, and secondly, much more quality for the developers. So what happened, and our ECPMs grew by 300% in the last year, is first of all, we launched new product features like ECPM floor launch. And then secondly, we launched the new product user interface and the new AdMob front-end user interface. And it came up with new product features such as ad network optimization. And then, like mid-2013, we rolled out all interstitial ad formats globally to all the developers. And lastly, we have seen some seasonality factors during the Christmas time. So let's have a look at what are all the different ad formats available to make these profit available for you, to make these 300% ECPM growth available for you. First of all, we have smart banners. So when the first mobile ad networks started to evolve, the very first ad format which has been used was the classical banners. But the problem with the classical banners was they were not able to orient and get the width and orientation of your device. So the image of a classical banner was not optimized for all the screen sizes. And that's where we launched smart banners in Google AdMob in 2012. And smart banners were able to orient the width and orientation of your screen, and will be able to deliver the ads accordingly. So this is a good example of a smart banner in the hill climb racing from Fingersoft. And the second type of ad formats we have available today is full screen interstitial ad formats. It was available until mid-2013 only to those beta testers, but starting from mid-2013, we rolled out these ad formats to all global developer communities, and today it's available for all the developers out there. And the third different ad format is video ad format, which is the TrueView experience that you all have experienced in YouTube. we brought the TrueView experience into mobile applications, and we launched the TrueView ad formats into mobile applications. And just a piece of note on this is the first TrueView ad format in a mobile application ecosystem. And the reason why we would like to see TrueView ad formats into mobile application is because users are highly engaging with this type of ad formats, and by looking at their consent, by looking at their will, we need to clearly understand which users would like to see this type of ad formats, whereas which users are just skipping the ad and not showing it. So this is a good example of how video ad experience looks like in your application. And in the first screen, you're going to see how the gameplay looks like. And whenever the user pauses the game or times out or during the level intersection, we will give the impression to the TrueView, and the user either skips the ad or just watches it. So what's new today is in-app purchase ad formats. And I just shared with you that one of the big announcements of today is we are announcing the in-app purchase ad formats for the first time for European app developers. And it was priorly announced in GDC San Francisco last week. So what's coming new with in-app purchase ad format is, the idea is, we know that you want to increase your in-app purchase revenue as well as you want to increase your ad revenue. So how you can increase your in-app purchase revenue? Just have a look at the example that I shared with you from the Social Point. So Social Point is saying only 3% of their users are doing in-app purchase. So the ideal solution is to increase this 3% up to 5, up to 6, or even 10. And how do we do it? So the idea here is, first of all, we define our in-app product catalog. We define what different type of products we are going to offer to our users. And then after we define our product, we are going to create a user list for us. We are going to create a targeting list to show these ads, these products to the different users. We need to target those users. Let's think we have 100,000 users who are playing our games, and we want to find those users in between these 100,000 who played our game in the last 24 hours, who reached to level 10, and who got stuck there. So now we have the risk of losing those users if they don't keep playing and if they don't reach to level 10. And we can target those users, and we can show our in-app purchase ad formats to those users by looking at their 24 hours traffic, by looking at their session, and by looking at different dimensions such as country, demography, and age and language here. So the idea here is not only to show in-app purchase ads to your users, but also to segment your users in a best way. When I say segmenting your users, it's not only in-app purchase whereas non-in-app purchase. It's also to understand your user segmentation with the AdMob filterings available for in-app purchase ad formats. So the second announcement of today is we have been working on integrating Google Analytics into AdMob, and to allow this product to the developer communities as a unified product, which should be used in conjunction with together. And the idea is we need to understand our users in order to maximize our monetization value from them. And when I say we need to maximize the value from each users, I would mean not only to understand if they're purchasing any digital good from our application, but also I would like to say we need to understand at which session our users are withdrawing to play our games, or at which session are the users more integrating with our games. So the ideal solution is to have much more engaged users at the end by having all the analytics data in the same interface. So this is in the beta program still, and when you start using the analytics integration together with Google AdMob, this is the front end you will see. You will have another tab here which is saying Analyze, and from the front end you will be able to see different dimensions of your users, such as behavior, such as acquisition, such as the number of users, such as the session, and such as the real-time value of our users, also as well as the product, as well as the device breakdown. So what can Google Analytics integration bring to us? What's the additional value of it? First of all, it's a cross-platform product, and it allows us to run our monetization, promotion, and analyze campaigns at one front-end user interface. So it's a single product which can help us to analyze our users, to promote our mobile applications or games, or to monetize our games and applications. And as you can see, it's a very clear and simplified user interface. So you integrated analytics, you started monetizing your applications, you started showing ads from different advertisers of Google, and the question is, how am I going to control my mobile application or my game, and how am I going to see which ads am I showing to my users? So we also worked on our filtering options, and we revamped the filtering options available in Google AdMob. Now we have 4 different categories how to target our users and how to show ads to our users. You can filter out specific ads or specific companies by having URL filter level, by having application level, and also category site filter level and text filter level. Let's say you're a game developer and you're showing ads in your application with Google AdMob user interface, and you wouldn't like to show ads from other game companies, obviously. So you can do a category level by filtering out gaming as a category. From that moment on, you would not show any gaming ads to your users. So now we are at the second stage of a typical game developer when he starts monetizing with ads, and where we need to have a look at what are the other ad networks out there and what is the solution from Google AdMob to mediate in between different ad networks. So the last product launch today is ad network optimization, and ad network optimization has been launched a month ago. And the reason why we needed such a tool, such a feature in Google AdMob is because we understand the real value of all the ad networks out there, because we know that they are not created equally, naturally. And we need to understand what is the value of ad network optimization here. First of all, you will be able to access to the real-time CPM information of other ad networks out there, so you can maximize your yield management by looking at this real-time CPM value from different ad networks. And secondly, you can set up an impression goal campaign and limit the number of impressions that you set up for your house ads campaign. Let's say you want to cross-promote your games, and you want to set up a house ads campaign in Google AdMob, and you want to limit the number of impressions that you give to the users per session or per user. So this is a feature that will enable you to go in this direction. And we have another solution which will facilitate your mediation stack if you ever set up in Google AdMob, and it will allow you to maximize your value, or to maximize the value of each impression that you get from these different ad networks. Let's say you want to work with 2 or 3 different ad networks, and you can set up a mediation stack by saying, I want to work with ad network X, ad network Y, and ad network Z. So AdMob ECPM floor beta feature is providing you the ability to set up minimum ECPMs for each ad network, and it will help you to maximize the value of each ad impression that you can get from these 3 different ad networks. So you can create your mediation stack and do better targeting with AdMob ECPM floor beta. And if you ever mediate, if you ever mediated in between different ad networks, what you are going to observe, what you are going to see is your ECPMs are not going to be stable for obvious reason. Let's say you implemented a mobile ad network and you tested for a while, and you have seen that your ECPMs are fluctuating widely. So the reality is that no ad network is created equally, like naturally, and every ad network has had different ECPM values by looking at different factors, such as the advertiser demand, such as the seasonality, and such as the local ad network factors. Because some ad networks are locally much more stronger than the other ad networks in some local markets, and those ad networks are going to bring you much more value in those markets where they're standing strong for. So all you need to do is to find the optimum value and to find the optimum ECPM from each ad network, so you can focus on it and you can set up your mediation stack by looking at this optimum ECPM value. And now we are at the last stage, which is maturity for a typical game developer in ad monetization lifecycle. So in the maturity stage, a developer would like to understand all possible values that he can benefit from in the market, not only all different ad networks out there, but also the direct sales activities. Let's say you have a game, then you have a strong user base in a local market, and those advertisers in those local markets are approaching you to show their ads in your applications or in your games. And this is going to be a great deal for you because they are offering you a much better deal than any other ad networks out there. So the need here is that the developer communities out there needs a tool where they can set up their direct sales additionally with all the other ad networks, and they can set up their DFP tags into their applications and games, and they can manage all their yield management from one tool. So this is where, as Google, we are offering DoubleClick for publishers as a solution to the developer communities, where they can integrate their direct sales activities with all their ad network activities. And one of the last announcement today is going to be the App Developer Business Kit by the AdMob marketing team. We first announced it in GDC San Francisco last week as well. So if you ever visit google.com/AdMob, you will find out a really useful page which will give you some ideas about the consumer research in the key markets, and such as the best practices of all other ad networks, not only AdMob. Also, it will give you some success stories and interviews with the successful publishers and advertisers of Google AdMob. So I would strongly recommend you to visit this page and have a look, and it will give you an idea about how to set up your business model around your mobile apps and games. And to wrap up, AdMob from now on is not going to be only a solution for you guys as an ad network, but it's going to be an ad server, an ad network, and an analytics tool by the integration of Google Analytics. So by using AdMob, you will be able to understand your audience with Google Analytics. It will give you an idea about how to segment your users and how to take necessary actions upon it. And then you can grow your revenue, you can grow your in-app purchase revenue by showing by showing ads to the right people at the right time. And also it will help you to maximize your in-app purchase revenue. It will not only be an ad network solution for you, so you can also maximize the value of each user that you have today. And this is all from my side today, and I will be open for another 5 minutes to your questions if you have any.
Hi, do you charge for cross-promotion?
Pardon me?
Do you charge for cross-promotion?
No, like all the cross-promotion products and in-app purchase ad formats are free products for you. And no matter how many impressions that you are targeting for, it's going to be a free service from Google AdMob.
Wonderful, thank you.
One question here.
Hi, we've been seeing some problems, not with AdMob, but with one of your competitors, where if we push several million new users into the product, then the mediation layer hasn't been able to sort of keep up with the traffic. So the ECPM has fluctuated crazily.
Right.
What do we do? Apart from spread out the new users over a longer period of time to give the mediation layers time to react and build up the profiles?
That's a great question, actually. So when you set up a mediation stack, you can specify more than one rule. And this means that ECPMs are not always the same globally. So let's say you set up a mediation stack. You want to show ads first from Google AdMob, second from Ad Network X, and third from Ad Network Y. And you set up this rule globally, but it means that AdMob is not able to give you the same amount of ECPM from all different markets out there. We can see that AdMob is strong in certain markets, in those global or strong markets such as US or such as North Europe. But whereas we can see some other ad network out there is going to bring you much more revenue than AdMob could do. So what you could do is you could segment your mediation stack by looking at the different geographies where you can get most ECPMs, and you can create and you can set up a different mediation stack by focusing on the geographies and the strong ECPMs from those geographies.
Okay.
Any others? Okay, thank you very much, Knut.
Thank you.